I think this is why building your personal brand is so important. Elon Musk is doing it. If Elon Musk was to step away from Tesla, what would that do to Tesla?
TikTok can change your life very, very quickly. You could reach millions and millions of people for free just by posting one video.
I think the best thing you can do is be vulnerable and be approachable and just help people. That's it.
Welcome back to the 8-Figure Agency Show, where a successful entrepreneur and a soon-to-be successful entrepreneur help you build an 8-figure agency by documenting their successes and failures. Gary, how you doing today?
Doing well. Just got back from Arizona from a big marketing conference, and it was super fun, super fruitful. How are you doing?
I'm doing incredible. I spent the weekend in Miami. It was actually my grandmother's 65th birthday, so we surprised her over there on Friday, which was a lot of fun. It was an eventful weekend, to say the least. So an update for those of you who haven't seen episode 1 or episode 2, I would stop and go back and watch those first before you listen to this one. But for some added context, basically what I will be doing right now is explaining, did I implement all the tips that Gary gave me and how it worked out for me. Last week in episode 2, we spent a lot of time talking about, who to hire, when to hire, how to hire, where to find these people to hire. And I needed to hire. I desperately needed to hire project managers, video editors. Here's the scoop. So I have not been able to find anybody to hire yet. That's like my number one priority this week. I've been looking, and video editors especially, it's like no one's there. I can't find anybody, and I'm looking everywhere. That's kind of the struggle right now. That's my update, keeping myself accountable there. I am uber focused this week on finding a new video editor, on finding new team members, project manager, and I am desperately searching for that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I think this is going to continue to be a thing, right? Just recruiting for every single industry is tough right now. And I think, and I'm just going to change subjects a little bit, I think this is why building your personal brand is so important. When we needed certain positions that we just couldn't find, like we couldn't get the people for it, I literally just started posting about it. And when I started posting about it, all of a sudden we started getting the people that we needed. And it's because I've been working on my personal brand. Now, I didn't start working on my personal brand for that reason, but I think that's one of the big ways that people are going to recruit in the future is the personal brand of the individual who's running the company or running HR, running recruiting or whatever it may be, by connecting with them, not because, hey, I want to get a job, but hey, I'm interested in what this person's all about.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And it's actually a lot of people I see doing it. Like I know Gary, you know him, Chris Cunningham from ClickUp, the founder. He's doing something really similar. A lot of people are moving towards that, and in fact, I'm doing the same thing. Having that personal brand doesn't just help with recruiting and hiring, but it helps portray your company better, helps portray you better. It's very valuable stuff.
It really is. It's hard to do. That's the part that everybody tries to pretend like, oh, just you post 5 pieces of content about yourself every single day. Just do it. And it's like, no, it's much more complicated than that. You also it costs a lot of money. Like if you are working a full-time job, you have to hire people to help you do that. And it's very, very costly. The cost per piece of content coming out can be very high. Even if you're just documenting your day or documenting doing shorts on videos and things like that.
Yeah, and I think what's super important to realize, right, from my perspective, I've been doing, personal branded content since like 2018. And at the time when I first started, I was about 14 years old. I didn't have money. I had $0 to be able to do any of that, right? So if you are somebody like who's similar to the position I was in where you don't have money to invest in it, it is possible, but it is very hard. You're either going to have to invest a lot of time or a lot of money. At least that's my experience with it, Gary. I had to invest hours and hours and hours. I was filming everything myself. I was editing everything myself. Now, when I have a team to do it, it saves a lot of time, but it's still really, really difficult.
It is, yeah. And it's important that you get a game plan because there's so many different platforms now that if you try to tackle every single platform, it's just gonna stress you out. So you pick where's the avatar that you want to reach, where's the people you want to recruit, where's your client living, and then create a plan around that and then try to repurpose from that platform onto the other platforms where possible.
I think that will tie in really well to what I want to discuss today, and that's all about marketing your business, right? How do you get your business out there? How do you get more leads, get more customers? But more importantly, aside from just marketing, getting leads, the personal brand for your business or the brand for your business, right? Talk to me a little bit about that. What was your experience building that for SMC? How did you do it, and what was the nitty gritty of that process?
So, just to be totally honest, I hate social media personally. Like, I would, if it wasn't for business, I wouldn't be on social media. I don't have any desire to post or fill people in what I'm doing or anything like that. So it's very counterintuitive to me to post on social media. And I understand why people do it and people like it and why people consume it. I'm just telling you how I feel personally. And so I had to really mentally prepare for this and be very, very intentional about posting. So when I started posting personally, first it was just like sharing stuff that the company was doing. But then what I realized is that that's very, very niche, right? And actually Chris Cunningham from ClickUp, I had him on a podcast and we were talking about corporate brands versus personal brands. And one of the things that you may notice was right now, if you launch a corporate brand of anything, and then the CEO launches a brand right around a personal brand right alongside of it, the CEO's brand, like behind the scenes, and this is what's going on with my life, will almost always do better, and it will have way more interaction. The corporate brands have very, very little interaction. They usually have to do something way over the top, like Wendy's on Twitter, where they're just like beating people up verbally, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, to really get attention. And really, I think it's the future, and you see it like Elon Musk is doing it. If Elon Musk was to step away from Tesla, what would that do to Tesla? And because he's the personal brand and he's driving Tesla, and Tesla doesn't spend any money on marketing, which is interesting because they have the CEO promoting his personal brand. So I really think that that's the future of everything. And what Chris Cunningham said to me, he said, Gary, I would have never connected with you if it was just your dental marketing company. That's boring. He said, but you're super interesting, and now I'm interested in your company. And I think that's the future because we're, at the end of the day, we're just people, right? And if you don't have, I get like Nike's way of connecting with people is they sign the Michael Jordans of the world for people to connect with. But if you can't do that, right? So if you can't make Michael Jordan one of your influencers, so to speak, then do it yourself and go out there and don't talk about what you do for people. Talk about how you do it. And also, here's the other thing that people love. Marketing has always been about how we win, right? So my company's awesome. We're so good. We're so great. But most people don't talk about why it's so hard and why it's so difficult and why, and here's how I failed. If you do that, people will connect with you on a whole different level and people will consume your content. It doesn't matter how niche it is or how uninteresting your business is. I'm literally in the marketing industry. I'm in one of the most boringest verticals that you could be in.
Yeah, no, that's super true. I'll tell you from my experience, right? I met Gary on TikTok. Like his videos just showed up on my For You page. I started following him. I became a genuine fan, joined his Discord, and now we're here and I'm doing this show. But it's just crazy how that happens. But point being, if he never made these TikTok videos, I would have never, gotten involved here. I would have never known who the CEO of SMC is. I would have never known anything because, like you said, on the outside, what could be boring has a lot of intricacies into it. And like having a personal brand for the CEO, the founder, the owner helps. But there's something you said there that I want to pick apart. So, for example, you used the Elon Musk example. How dangerous of a position do you put your company in when you focus the entire stream of everything, the whole company, around one individual, even though they might not be the person necessarily executing? But if they're like the Elon Musk, like you said, if he steps down, what happens to the company that's underneath that personal brand?
Yeah, that's a great point. So if you're planning on selling your company in the next couple of years, probably don't build a personal brand. But I don't think Elon Musk is planning on selling, right? So he's kind of doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down on Tesla. And so I think he's going to take that, no pun intended, to the moon. And so he's not worried about that. And that's how I feel too. And let's say in the instance, which I don't plan on doing, but let's say in the instance I did sell one of my companies, it's fine. Like my personal brand comes with me, and then I can help the next person transition in and take that next step. Or I can even say, hey, I can continue to work on my personal brand. It's not hard for me to post content about certain things, right? And so there's a lot of different ways that you could approach that. That doesn't worry me as much, just because I'm from the school of buy and hold, buy and hold, buy and hold. Like I don't plan on selling anything forever. Like that's my goal. I don't want to sell anything ever.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it's funny because I feel like I'm the same way about that. A lot of things like that. Not that like I would never sell a big project, after working 30, 40 years on something, but ideally I want to pass something meaningful along to, generations, right? And have it continue to be ran, create something really meaningful that lives longer than me. But to anybody who might be listening, somebody who might just be starting out, right? If they are starting from ground zero, should they focus on, to set the stage rather, they want to start an agency. Should they focus on building their personal brand while starting their agency, or should they be uber focused on building their personal brand?
I would build the personal brand. I would be working on building your personal brand. And here's why. People aren't going to initially buy from your agency, no matter what agency. If we've all seen it before, right? ABC agency, we do XYZ, one follower on Instagram, one follower on TikTok, right? And it just gets started. No one's buying because of that. No one. But your personal brand, people will connect with you on. So I would build there first. And then if you can get traction and you can get people over to your other platforms. But again, for us, like SMC, no one, even in the dental industry, people don't want to follow about dental marketing, right? Like it's really like sub niche. And so we don't really post a lot about what we do. If you follow us on TikTok, you'll see right away. It's about like what it's like to work inside of a marketing company that's work from home and things like that. So it's more behind the scenes, and it really does help with like recruiting and more of that side, more so than lead generation.
Yeah, this actually speaks to the next point pretty well. So when I was starting my personal branding journey and first started making content, Gary Vee, of course, came across my radar. And one thing that he said, that one of the only things that stuck with me from him is document versus creating content. So from the mindset of when you're creating content, should you create content, or should you simply pick up a phone or a camera and document what you're doing? What's your perspective on that, and how do you like to do things?
I think it depends if you're creative or not, right? So if you're creative, then create. But if you're not creative, I say document. I'm not a creative person. I really look at the marketing industry from 2 points. There's the creative, emotional side, and then there's the data analytical side. And usually you have one or the other. You usually don't have both. And so most business-minded people in the marketing industries are usually the number-driven guys. So those people are going to be more apt to document rather than create, because creating is much harder. And on the flip side, the creative people they have these abstract ideas and how to get attention and those kind of things. And that's awesome, but they're typically not as good on the business side and the number side.
Let me ask you then this question, Gary. So for somebody who might not be just starting out their agency, but who might be further along, is there any value in maybe hiring a personality to step in for you? So say you're a CEO who's not interested in being personal branded, who prefers being a little bit more private. What does somebody in that position do?
That's an excellent question. I've put a lot of thought into this, and there's a couple different ways you can tackle it. Number one, you can make somebody else the personal brand inside the company. That obviously there's risk with that, right? And you could also hire somebody from the outside. There's also risk with that, right? So there's always risk involved with it, because now you're not controlling the assets that you're actually creating. The other option, if you're not, so like with me, I didn't want to be on social media. So the first thing that I did is I created a podcast that brought on guests that allowed me to create content without me having to really think about it. I know how to hold a conversation about dental marketing, so I knew I could bring people on and walk through that.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is if you're a CEO in that position, right, the only decision you have to make is, A, do you want to be in front of the camera? If so, how are you comfortable being? Do you even want to be in camera, or do you want to do something like similar to a podcast, audio only? But there is that option of hiring a personality or hiring a team to make that content on your behalf, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, yeah. So, I mean, look, what then would you say if you're trying to make personal branded content, right, there has to be a goal, right? There has to be something you have to have in mind, either to generate more leads or to generate revenue, right? There has to be something attached to it. Oftentimes, especially if you're starting out, it's not going to be just spending all that time just to make videos. Usually not the case. So when you're just starting out, what should be your focus, and what angle should you come at making content with?
Yeah, so I have a unique approach to this. I really think you should be positioning yourself as the expert, building community and positioning yourself as the expert. And this allows you to sell from a position of authority. Now, it's a little bit of a long road around to do this, but if you do marketing of any kind, and you have a lot of followers, people respect that. It doesn't matter where the followers came from or how, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't matter. Just people look at it and go, oh, it's a little bit of social proof, even if that's not the service that you offer. Make sense? It gives you a position of authority because people look at that. 99% of people in your industry are going to look at that you're serving and go, oh, they know something, right? There's something that they get that I don't get. So that's number one. Number two, I think that most marketing agencies fail on this front because most marketing agencies are B2C, right? I'm B2C. The service that we provide is B2C. The service that you provide is B2C. But when I market my agency or myself, I'm B2B. B2B is radically different than B2C. Okay, so if you're helping somebody sell ice cream, as an example, so they have an ice cream shop and they're marketing their ice cream, you have one decision maker. They can make up their mind to go buy that ice cream at any time. The roadblocks between them and making the decision to buy ice cream or to buy dentistry or listen to a podcast or whatever the service is that you're providing, that business to customer, is a very short gap, and it's usually a low dollar amount, right, for that individual. And so that's B2C, and that's very snappy and straight to the point. B2B is totally different. B2B, you're dealing with multiple decision makers. You're dealing with corporate structures. You're dealing with hiring freezes and budget freezes. You're dealing with calendars of, my marketing budget doesn't reset until the next year. You're dealing with contracts. You're also dealing with people's jobs on the line. If I make the wrong decision, if I'm the marketing director or the CMO, and I make the wrong decision in hiring you and bringing these results, I could lose my job. And sometimes it's safer to do nothing than to do something, right? So that's radically different. There's a lot more trust involved, and there's a lot more relationship building in the B2C side. And so if you're trying to market your business like you do for your clients, so if you think, I'll just put up an ad and we'll get out on Google and we'll drive the businesses in, and that's usually not going to work.
And I guess that's where everything we're discussing right now comes into play. When you're trying to market your business, one of the best ways to get instant authority to it is to have the founder, the CEO, or an executive have a following. I mean, you said it yourself. Right. So that way it saves you a ton of budget. It saves you a ton of time. It's exactly what you're doing. It's exactly what I'm trying to do. Right. Now, look, to get a little bit more tactical on the side of things, right? If you're trying to do basically this, right? Because I'm going to implement this, right? I'm going to go back and say, okay, I have to decide, what do I do now? And I think that the best move here all around is to develop my personal brand, right? To make content around this. And that way it's all that trickle down effect, exactly like Gary was saying. But to get a little more tactical with it, if you're trying to do the same thing, all you have to do is figure out, are you comfortable on camera? Are you comfortable on video? If you are, pick up your phone and literally just start recording yourself into the camera and just post that. Where do you post it? TikTok. I think, Gary, you can definitely attest to this. TikTok can change your life very, very quickly. The power on that platform right now is incredible. I mean, you could reach millions and millions of people for free just by posting one video. So definitely look into TikTok. And then short form video. I personally believe, and I'm hedging my entire company, my entire team, all my resources on the power of short form video. I really believe that it's the next vertical that's already starting to show that that's how you can do everything, Gary.
That's how you communicate. Yeah.
Exactly. And
that's why I tripled down there is our clients aren't even there yet. And the dental industry isn't even there yet. And I'm just positioning there early. So when people move there, they're like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing.
So then, that's really interesting. And I think that the question that's at least on my mind, might be on some of the listeners' minds, is this. When it comes to, a lot of people, especially in the agency space, they're going to be in a very similar position. A lot of the people they want to speak to aren't even there yet. They're not on TikTok yet, right? And how do you position yourself as the founder, as the CEO successfully so that when that potential prospect arrives to that platform and sees your content, they are introduced into that ecosystem properly?
Yeah. So I have an interesting take on this. So I think the best thing you can do is be vulnerable and be approachable and just help people, right? That's it. And so I'll to give you an example. So Derek, you're super vulnerable. You're like, hey, I'm trying to build an agency. And that's what built this podcast, right? Most people would try to fake it until they make it. So they're like, no, I'm already successful. And I've already arrived and I've already got there because I don't want my clients to think that I haven't figured this out yet. Those are two different approaches. and
Yeah.
we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now. And so the old school way of marketing is let me show you how perfect and pretty everything is. I think the new way of marketing and what people really appreciate is, hey, here's what I'm good at. Here's all my flaws, and I'm approachable. Now, what that does when the CEO is approachable is they know if I have a problem, they're going to respond to me. And let me break this down in a different way. This is a different kind of social media and interaction. But if you go on to Amazon and you want to buy a product, and we've all bought products before that had 5,000 5-star reviews, and the product was garbage, right? So what do we do? Now we go to all the bad reviews, and we read the bad reviews, and then what do? We look at the responses of the company. So if the responses if someone's like, man, I ordered this vacuum, it's trash, and it broke right away, and then the company just ignores it, we go, it's kind of risky, right? But if the company responds and says, you know what, we're really sorry about that, we're sending you a new one, make sure that doesn't happen again, let us know if there's any problems, they just turn that negative into a positive. I think that people think that not presenting any negatives is a good thing, and it's really not. Presenting your weaknesses and your flaws is what allows people to approach you, and then that allows you to continue to build and reinforce what you're building and just sharing that journey. I think that's huge, and if you figure that out in your niche, you're unstoppable.
It's actually, I'm really glad you brought that up, because I'll share a little bit of a personal thing. When I first started this company, Mirror Media Marketing, I was not doing short form clips, for content creators and for podcasters. I started creating TikTok content manually for local businesses, right? And that was exactly the thesis I sold them on that I still believe to this day. The reason why what I did at the time worked, got 60K on one page, got 45K on another page, is because we did exactly that. We took a business, we took an entity, and we made it personable, right? So that when you think of that particular entity, like it's more than branding. It's exactly like you said. When a company gets a negative review, rather than brushing it off, right, like what most people would do, they respond, right? They give a solution. They act like real people. That's exactly what I went in and did, and that's exactly why it worked. And I think that is what focus you have to come in on. How can you make your company, how can you make your entity as personable as possible? And again, it's more than just branding, right? Because I think we can, Gary, I think to give some clarification to those who might not be understanding the difference, can you explain what would be that difference between, the brand, the company brand, and making a company personable?
Yeah, so a brand is just a feeling, right? So this is the emotion. Branding is the emotional side of marketing. So the analytical side of marketing is like lead generation. I put this ad up. It got 1,000 impressions. It got 100 clicks. It had 20 people fill out the form, and 5 people brought my product. That's all just straight up. It all happens like in 1 minute, 2 minutes. They don't even know the name of your company as they're going through and considering buying it, right? That's direct response marketing, and that's lead generation, and I love that. That's great stuff. But branding is an emotion. It's like when you go out and when you were younger, or even some people still do it, you go out and you buy that piece of clothing with that one logo, and you could have bought the generic one, right? And without the logo, but you bought the one with the logo, and you felt like Superman. Or you see these little kids where they run around with the light up shoes, and they're like, I literally run faster in these shoes. They do run faster in those shoes. Did you know that? Like, they're running faster because they believe that they're running faster, so they actually run faster. And it's crazy how a brand or light up shoes can do that to us, right? And so your brand is just a feeling, and that's it. How are you connecting with people? How are you resonating with people? And again, to do that at another level is to have the CEO. When I say Tesla, if I said, give me one word you think of when I say Tesla, you're going to say, well, Elon. He's done exactly that, and you can do it. That means you can do it at scale, right? He's the world's richest man. So now we're learning, and this is all new. This is not like something that has been out for years and years and years, but this is starting to change the way people are thinking. And I really believe that people are moving in this direction because it's hard to grow a brand about something that people don't care about. No one cares about the dental marketing company, but people are interested in the team around the dental marketing company and the CEO and where he's failing and where he's winning. That's what people care about.
Yeah, and you know what it is, Gary? It's the story. They care about the story.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything that you could take and you could turn into a story that you can
Yeah.
make people listen to, they'll listen to. That's it.
Yep.
I mean, it sounds simple, but it's a lot harder when you talk about getting tactically. Like, how do you make something a story? How do you tell a story? And it gets way, 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 way deeper than that. But I mean, even again, we keep using this example, but it's the easiest one to point to, the Elon Musk example. How does he tell a story? He goes on Twitter and he literally himself will write up a tweet and he'll share his thoughts. To him,
Yeah.
that's a story, that's his content. And he's got millions of followers on Twitter and he gets millions of impressions. That's his form of creating content, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's no roadmap perfectly laid out yet. I would just say the biggest, and I know we're kind of beating a dead horse here, but it's just being vulnerable. So I had someone quit from my team once. They left me the most scathing review on Glassdoor. They talked about me so bad, Derek. Like they basically, I ruined their life. Right? And we have a really good culture. I try my very, very best to take care of our team. I even have articles that I publicly post in the industry saying, the most important thing to me is the team, then the clients, then profit. That's how we approach the equation. If you don't like that, then we're probably not the right company for you, right? So, and I do that partially for my team so they know, but also to attract the right kind of clients too. And she quit and she just ripped me. You want to know what I did? I posted about it. I made a video about it. I made a post about it. I said, hey, here's what I learned from this. Here's where I failed. Here's what I didn't rip her. I could have posted a video and said, this is so, I didn't. I said, this is when things really hurt. And when I tried my best, but I failed, obviously. And here's how I can get better. And it totally flipped that negative into positive. I actually ended up getting business from that. That post, someone was like, man, I'm a CEO of this company and I've had that exact thing happen to me. Thanks for posting that. And they wanted to work with us from that.
That's exactly why I'm so glad that we kind of dedicated this episode here to this, because that just shows the power of that personal branding, right? From a piece of content like that, the fact that content got you business, right? And all you did was share the story, that is more powerful than a lot of people realize, right? The power behind the storytelling, the power behind documentation, the power just behind, speaking and sharing what's on your mind, it's endless, right? And again, there's so much more involved into it, but if you just boil it down to the simplest point possible, it's just that. Just share your story. It's that simple.
Yeah, 100%. You share your story and the wins and the losses. If you do that, you're off to the races. And then you got to get creative with figuring out how to frame what you're doing and frame those pain points in. Also, I think if you can understand in a B2B market that everybody is going through pain points, they're going through the same things that you're going through. So by speaking to that, so if you're talking about, if you're trying to sell a bunch of businesses like you are, Derek, all those businesses went through the journey that you're going through right now. So everything that you post personally about is going to resonate with them. That's why you started following me on TikTok. If I posted about, all right, here's how to run the best call to action on dental marketing, you would have been like, that's stupid, right? There's no chance you would have listened to that. But because I said, here's where I failed as a leader in growing my agency, that happens to be dental marketing, you were like, oh, you're speaking to me. You're speaking directly to me. And so you came in and were able to listen to that. And so same thing with all the entrepreneurs that you're trying to reach. You can frame it in a way that they go, he gets it because I went through the same thing.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I will say, if you guys want, leave a comment. If you guys want, maybe I'll do another separate episode and I'll get some Gary's thoughts on it on tactically some, great hooks, some ways you can implement this tactically. Let us know. We can definitely do that for you, whatever we can do to, provide you guys value. But that's exactly right. I mean, you just explained it to the T. When I was scrolling, I would not have stopped if you said, here's how I, dental marketing agency did. No, I would have not have stopped. But the fact that you literally spoke to me, you're like, here's how I failed my team leading my agent. I was like, whoa, okay. I also feel like I failed. What did he fail on? Is this the same thing? Became a follower and now we're here. I mean, it's exactly right. Exactly right.
That's the easiest way to create content. Easiest way, hands down, is just what did I learn today? Where did I win? Where did I fail? I'm going to frame it up now in a way that people will be able to consume it, and you will get business from it, especially from a B2B side.
Yeah, I mean, look, to sum it all up, to those of you listening and those of you watching, if you need to get more business, right, one of the best ways to do it, like Gary and I just explained the last 30 minutes, is to make a personal brand for yourself. How you do that? Tell your story. document it, share your thoughts, share your feelings, speak to the pain points that you're experiencing, especially like Gary said just a minute ago, if you're in B2B, right? If you literally just share the story of your pain points, what caused the pain points, what the pain points were, how you overcame them, you can create really, really valuable content that might not generate the results you're looking for right away, but the long tail of things, you can definitely accomplish those results.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that conversation?
No, I think we got it. I would love to hear people's feedback if they want more of a tactical approach on that. I actually have some things around that.
Awesome. Yeah, again, guys, if you do want, some really tactical tips, right, on the TikTok side of things, on the short content side of things, and Gary's literally a master of hooks. He tests a bunch of different things, and, I give him a lot of feedback on it. If you guys want to get some really tactical information on it, then drop a comment, let us know. We'll get that made for you. But guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. This was episode 3, a little bit of an impromptu all about personal branding. Thank you guys so much. Leave a review, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're watching on YouTube. And Gary, any finishing thoughts to wrap up the episode?
Yep. Make sure you leave a review for us. It really helps us out. Appreciate it, guys.
Please. Till next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.